a planting table.
Planting table, potting table from an old piece of cedar fence that got blown down in a windstorm. It's 4 feet wide right now, so I'm going to cut it, I think rip it down to 3 feet wide, and it is 6 feet tall. 6 feet tall. So I'm going to leave the height the way it is. I'm going to rip it down to, instead of 4 feet wide, I'm going to go down to 3, so it's a little easier to take care of. You can see the dog ear on top. This is called dog-eared fencing. I'm going to keep that style. You can see where these sections were, the 2x lumber here, this was 2x4, was this overlap here so that it could go into a 4x4. I'm going to cut that flush with the side here, so then that way I can, the top one here by the top of the, my plan so far is to have the top one here by the dog ear. This will just cut flush, and then I'll use that to maybe mount into the back of the garage or something like that for stability. Then on these middle sections here, I'm going to cut that flush with the fence, so then I can make my tabletop. The bottom is going to be the same, and then on this side over here is where we'll rip down to 3 feet, and that'll all be flushed out. So this is kind of a fly by the seat of my pants project, just some recycled stuff that I'm going to turn it into something so I don't have to throw it away. And I could use a potting bench anyway, so we'll see how this works out. I've decided that instead of moving this hunk of 2x4 over here, which is in the middle of the fence, down, I don't have to do all that work. I can just cut off the bottom and gain an inch or two to lower the table out. In order to do that though, I want to make sure it's a nice straight line, because presently it's off a little bit, so I took a square. It's a carpenter's square, and I'm running off of this outer edge, and I brought it down, it was about an inch or so, and I'm just kind of gonna take a scratch off because this wood is wet and old and it's not really holding a pencil mark or a marker. I just run my lines so I'll see where to saw, and then as I'm going I can move over and keep a nice tight line through the whole thing. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this, and then we'll take a look at what's going on. Alright, my helper just went away for a bike ride. She'll be back in just a little bit. I'm going to make the table from the back here, coming out toward me to here. It's going to be about 18 inches deep, and in order to get it 18 inches from here to where the front is going to be, I have to take into account the sides, the thickness of this dog-eared fence, piece of fence, and the 2x4 there, which isn't actually a 2x4, it's like 1.5 by 3.5. But so from here to here, it's like 2 1/4, 2.5. We'll just call it 2.5. So 2.5 plus my 18, 20 and 1/2 inches. I'm going to make 4 pieces like that. 1, 2, and then on the other side for 3 and 4. We'll be right back. Okay, Ray, now what? Put the fronts on?
Yeah, we're going to put the fronts on.
That goes from where to where?
No.
Okay, from this one to this one, right? Over to here to here. And how wide is that?
39 inches.
39 inches, because we started off, remember, it was 36 from here to here. The width of the wall is 36, and then we have to add on the thickness of our board. Alright.
The front's on, and we check level from side to side.
We're looking pretty good there. We cut our legs. We just basically, they're 37.5 inches in this particular case. Yours will probably be different. Like most of your measurements, you're just getting a rough idea of what we're doing. I'm going to put the top on next, but to show you how this front leg came, I measured up from the bottom of my fence, which would be there, to the top of this back 2x, which was already on here, okay, 37.5. So I knew I'd be pretty well level from front to back, back to front. And then side to side, I double checked it, and believe it or not, we are good. It is level. So my measurement came out to 37.5. Now what I'm going to do is, I know earlier I said I'm not using too many screws, or any screws I said earlier, but it turns out I will. But instead of looking at them, I'm going to go in from the back to the front. These are all C-clamped up right now. The reason you see this big metal washer is so that this part of my clamp doesn't dig into the wood and leave a big indentation or a scar. So we're good to go with that. So we're going to start to screw those in. Rachel's going to help me, and then we're going to put the top on. Okay, so we're getting pretty far along now. Maybe see it better this way. I have to figure out what I'm going to use for a top, and looking around here, I noticed that I have some more fencing, which is also on the other side of the garage, left over from, like I was talking about, that windstorm. So that's what we're going to use. Okay, so Rachel's going to start putting the top on. And what we did was we kind of started stuff off, and we took a measurement so that we are equal. We know that from there to the very front of the table, 12 inches, and then we squared that to the other side, from there to the very front of the table, 12 inches. So everything is pretty kosher. Then we left an overlap on the top of the boards so that we can run a board down the side, which we're going to continue to do over there. See how everything works out.
We're putting on the sides now. We're almost done.
Just about. Okay, so those are going to go from just underneath the tabletop here down to the bottom of the 2x4, this side that we put on earlier. That's 33 inches. For the very bottom storage shelf here, I cut some pieces of 2x4, cedar 2x4. And my plan right now is to just leave them loose. That way I can kind of adjust them to wherever I might want them, if I want to double stack stuff or whatever. And that'll be fine, because they'll just kind of be locked in there. And once this potting bench gets set into place, it really won't be moving anymore, at least until winter time. Then maybe we put it in the garage. I don't know. But for now, that's kind of it. We did clean up that face earlier. This was a piece of wood that I had left over. It happened to be at the correct length, so I sort of squared up the front end and made that look a little prettier. Yeah, there's gaps, like right here is going to be one, but I really don't care. I could go a lot crazier on that stuff and cut things to fit and make it all pretty perfect, but you know what, we're just not going to.
We're finished. We built this with all scraps, so it costs us nothing.
Nothing. So there we go. 6 feet tall from floor to top. Well, about 6 feet. I don't know, just shy. So on the back here, I've kind of hung that thing for a plant, and really pretty satisfied with all this. So the table is a nice size. The sides are enclosed now. The front is all kind of done up. I'll probably, I think, when I talked earlier about leaving these to free float like this, I'll probably screw them in. So, because I put my foot up here earlier just to kind of rest it while I was messing around, testing it out for size. That board moved, so I'm going to screw those in. Otherwise, that is our project.